Now we come to a very challenging topic of this discussion. People from direct cultures sometimes say that if you don't tell it like it is, then you're covering up and you're actually lying. Is that the case? We all agree that telling the truth is a clear principle for God's people. It's the 9th commandment. Do not speak false testimony against your neighbor. And the Apostle Paul writes, each of you must put off falsehood and speak truthfully to your neighbor. So tell the truth. Do not lie. Not even a white lie. But what's that white lie all about? People from indirect cultures, they also emphasize truthfulness. But then they would add that they need to be true to relationships and to the context that's around them, more than simply to facts. You know, the context or the situation of people around them actually is important. You got to take that into account. So when they speak to people, they look at the situation and then adjust their speech accordingly. Now, is adjusting speech dishonest? Well, I guess it depends how much you adjust, what you're adjusting. People from direct cultures would agree with the indirect culture people that we should not disregard relationships. But they would add that we can only have real relationships if everyone is real, that is truthful with everyone else. In the book Anatomy of a Lie, Diane Comp points out that you cannot have a healthy relationship with someone who is not honest or who is not truthful with you. So what is truthfulness? Does it mean to be true to the facts or true to relationships and friendships? Does honesty mean to speak the bare facts and just let the chips fall? It doesn't really matter what happens. But what if my frankness really offends someone and destroys my relationship with that person? But then on the other hand, if I adjust my speech, am I adjusting reality with my colleague? Is that not insulting that person as well? When I tell an untruth or hide the truth to that person, isn't it as if I'm treating that person as unworthy of truth? Now here's the irony. You know, the argument for indirect speech is that we speak in such a way so that we maintain our honor and respect the listener. But if such indirect speech becomes dishonest, I would conclude that dishonesty dishonors the listener and actually shames the speaker. Ajith Fernando, the Youth for Christ leader from Sri Lanka, has written an excellent, but actually very direct article with the title, Confronting Lying Biblically in Honor-Shame-Oriented Cultures. Now here's the link. It's definitely worth reading. In short, Fernando says that the practice of lying needs to become shameful among Christians from honor-shame, or what we would call in this lesson, communal cultures. And secondly, he says, we need to be convicted that God hates dishonesty. Now, there's always the other hand, isn't there? The other side. So what about lying with good intentions? Or what we in English sometimes say, the white lie. You know, people sometimes justify dishonesty by saying that through lying, they save someone's life. And then they say, well, that's not really lying. And then the truth-telling is actually very cruel, or that it can be cruel. You know, the medieval Persian writer Shaykh Saadi of the 14th century tells a story of a certain man who was bad-mouthing the dictatorial king. And the king didn't fully understand what the man was saying. So the king asked 2 other court officials to see if they could give some clarity on what he had said. And so the first king official said, well, he actually was cursing you, saying this about you and that about you. And then the second official knew that this king would probably execute the man for his speech. And so he covered up for him and said, well, he actually wanted to say this about you, and he tried to praise you, and he kind of stumbled his words and so forth. And the king liked what the second official said, and he rewarded him for that. And then Sheikh Saadi ends the story with this poem: an expedient lie is better than truth spoken with evil intentions. So where is the answer? Yes, truth can hurt, and any truth that is spoken with the intention to hurt is cruel. However, truth is also freeing, and ultimately it honors both the speaker and the listener. To be sure, there are issues of security and confidentiality, that it's important not to reveal information that would be harmful and damaging. And there really are no simple answers to this, and this deserves another whole area of discussion. But yes, as followers of Christ, we must speak the truth, but we must also seek to speak that which is beneficial and that which builds up the situation. If our honest words are unwholesome, are we honoring the other person? But if we are dishonest when we speak to another person, how are we honoring them then? So true honor and true respect that I believe would redeem both the individualist and the communal settings is to speak the truth in gracious and respectful manners. Can we learn to do that? Now here's a good discussion to have with your colleague. How can we be true to facts and true to each other as friends at the same time?